The Karmic Riddle of Prince Sarana. Hello everyone, today we are going to unpack a highly captivating story from the ancient scriptures. This narrative is a masterclass in human vengeance and cosmic reciprocity, resembling a psychological thrill that allows us to look directly into the intricate and highly precise operational mechanics of karma. Think about this scenario: how does a brutal, merciless beating manage to instantly transform a prince whose mind was entirely consumed by bloody revenge into a fully enlightened sage? We are going to decode this intensely dramatic karmic riddle right now. What exactly transpired to shift his state from absolute fury to ultimate tranquility? Before we plunge into that bone-chilling scene of violence, we must first clarify a core concept mentioned in the literature, which represents the ultimate destination in the story: becoming an arhat. Put simply, this state signifies that an individual has thoroughly severed all mundane afflictions, achieving a state of flawless liberation completely free from suffering. Keep this definition in mind, because it is the absolute linchpin of our protagonist's dramatic transformation. Let us slice directly into Part I, the choice of a prince, and see how our protagonist made a monumental decision that altered his destiny across countless lifetimes. Part I, the choice of a prince. Our story unfolds in a landscape where two rival city-states were locked in perpetual warfare. Our protagonist, Prince Sarana, was the son of one of these warring kings, born, as they say, with a silver spoon in his mouth. Yet he possessed immense wisdom. He recognized that inheriting the throne would inevitably bind him to accumulating the heavy karma of killing, thereby perpetuating the agonizing cycle of war. Demonstrating extraordinary resolve, he walked away from the opulence of the royal court. He chose to ordain under the guidance of a great arhat, Venerable Katyayana, deliberately choosing a path of absolute peace. What he could never have anticipated, however, was a colossal, violent karmic trap waiting for him just around the corner. This brings us to Part I, the fury of jealousy. Part I, the fury of jealousy. An absurd yet fatal misunderstanding triggered the crisis. The sheer coincidence of this event is staggering. One morning, the newly ordained Sarana was out collecting alms when he lost his bearings and inadvertently wandered straight into the palace grounds of the rival kingdom, the domain of King Kandapradita. The royal guards did not intercept him, but the king's consorts spotted him. Beholding the young monk's exceptionally serene and dignified countenance, the consorts not only offered him food but gathered around to listen to him expound the Dharma. As fate would have it, King Kandapradita returned at that precise moment, finding his consorts absent from their usual stations because they were surrounding a handsome young stranger. The king's suspicion and jealousy erupted instantly. Infuriated, the king stormed over and fiercely interrogated Sarana. Are you an arhat? Have you attained the fruits of the path? This was a calculated psychological probe. The king wanted to see if this man was a genuine, accomplished holy man or simply a fraud exploiting his wives. The friction here is highly compelling. On one side stood a king driven by mundane calculation, fully expecting the monk to boast and tell grand lies to save his skin. On the other side stood Sarana, a man of absolute honesty, refusing to engage in any form of spiritual deception. He replied candidly, "No, I have attained no fruits of the path, and I have not even achieved basic meditative absorption." Hearing this, the king thought, "Aha, caught you." Realizing Sarana was an ordinary man, the final shred of restraint in the king's mind vanished. He drew his heavy whip and beat Sarana mercilessly, leaving him covered in agonizing wounds and lingering on the absolute threshold of death. Part I, the illusion of vengeance. Having survived that brutal assault, our protagonist now stood at the precipice of absolute self-destruction. Imagine being beaten half to death without any provocation. Who could swallow such immense humiliation? Filled with profound resentment, Sarana rushed back to his teacher, Venerable Katyayana, shouting that he wanted to renounce his vows. He intended to abandon his robes, return to his homeland, mobilize a massive army, and completely obliterate King Kandapradita. At this critical junction, his teacher demonstrated extraordinary skillful means. He did not suppress the prince with rigid moral lecturing. Instead, he played along, saying, "Very well. However, darkness has fallen, and the roads are dangerous with wild beasts. Let us depart for your revenge tomorrow morning." Agree. By doing so, the venerable secured a vital night of pause. While Sarana slept, the teacher subtly applied a psychic influence to his mind, Consequently, this influence caused Sarana to experience an exceptionally vivid, rapid-paced prophetic nightmare. Day 1, he successfully renounces his vows, mobilizes his armies, and launches a grand campaign. Day 2, his forces suffer a catastrophic defeat, and he is dragged away as a prisoner of war. Day 3, left with absolutely nothing, he is bound tightly and marched on to the execution grounds. Facing the imminent stroke of the executioner's blade, the Venerable utilized this dream to let Sarana see with absolute clarity: if you choose the path of war and vengeance, this is your inevitable destination. Trapped within a hellish nightmare of his own making, facing the descending blade of execution, Sarana collapsed mentally. He woke up screaming in absolute terror, drenched in sweat, desperately crying out his teacher's name. Part IV, realizing our hardship, that nightmare acted as the ultimate waking blow to his delusion. Trembling in the wake of the dream, Sarana achieved an instant, penetrating realization. He saw that his toxic vow of revenge was nothing but a trap designed to drag him straight into hell. He offered deep, unreserved repentance before his teacher and completely severed his hatred. Because of this incredibly powerful giving rise to the mind of renunciation, he threw his entire being into intensive cultivation, successfully realizing the ultimate liberated state of our hardship in an exceptionally brief period. Meanwhile, the tyrannical King Kandapradita discovered to his horror that the monk he had nearly beaten to death was actually the prince of his rival state, and moreover, had now become a transcendent, accomplished arhat. Paralyzed with fear, the king rushed over, weeping bitterly, to beg for forgiveness, and offering vast sums of worldly wealth as an act of contrition. However, to evade the spiritual friction and disturbances brought by mundane wealth, Venerable Katyayana and Sarana quietly departed the region. The entire sequence of events was profoundly extraordinary. The remaining monks, filled with questions, approached the Buddha to act as a cosmic forensic investigator. Everyone wanted to know the hidden mechanics of karma governing this case. How could a single individual simultaneously possess supreme royal fortune, undergo such a horrific beating, and subsequently achieve enlightenment with such staggering speed? To find the answer, let us enter Part V, the root of karma, where the Buddha pulls back the veil on past life causality. Part V, in the root of karma, the Buddha explained that the entire sequence traces back through the long threads of time to a distant past life. In that past era, there was a pivotal figure who was a pratyekabuddha, a rare class of sage who awakens independently to universal truth during an era devoid of a formal Buddha Dharma. The precise correspondence revealed by the Buddha is enough to cause profound awe. In that past life, there was a ruler named King Brahmadatta. He fell asleep in his royal gardens, and upon awakening, discovered that his consorts had wandered away to listen to a pratyekabuddha expound the truth. Overwhelmed by absolute jealousy, the king grabbed his whip and brutally beat the sage. Does this plot sound familiar? The Buddha unveiled the ultimate, shocking reality. Prince Sarana, who was beaten half to death in the present life, was the exact reincarnation of King Brahmadatta, the aggressor from that past life. Karma operates like an absolute mirror. The precise manner in which he assaulted another in the past was the exact manner in which he was assaulted in the present. This specific detail is critically important. Back then, after beating the sage, King Brahmadatta witnessed the holy man fly into the sky to display supernatural transformations. Terrified, the king immediately constructed a stupa and performed deep repentance. At that time, he established 3 precise vows: may I possess vast wealth and nobility generation after generation. This materialized. He was born a prince. May I achieve ultimate enlightenment under the guidance of a future superior Buddha. This materialized. He became an arhat under Sakyamuni Buddha. May the negative karma of my whipping the holy sage never mature. However, his second vow failed completely. This demonstrates an exceptionally rigid, hard-hitting cosmic law. Karma is never a form of divine punishment meted out by an external deity. It is a flawless, mechanical law of cause and effect. The cosmic ledger balances itself with absolute precision. Even if you execute boundless good deeds and establish highly pure vows later on, once the debt you owe matures, you must pay it back down to the last penny. You can never run away from it. This is the absolute reason why the prince had to undergo that sudden, seemingly unprovoked calamity. Conclusion: spinning the threads of the ledger as our analysis draws to a close today, I want to leave an evocative question for you to reflect upon. If everything you experience right now is down to the millimeter, the precise echo and manifestation of your past choices and behaviors. Then think about the current moment, the decisions you make right now, the words you speak, and even the fleeting thoughts flashing through your mind. What kind of invisible seeds are you planting for your own future? It is highly worthy of profound reflection. Thank you so much for watching today's deep dive. We will see you in our next analysis. Goodbye. This material is shared by the Buddha's Path Association of Australia. Thank you for listening.